There's something very, very addictive. If these computer games that kids play on their computer and on the cell phones are addictive, well, the internet is just as, if not much more addictive. There's a certain thrill that they get, there's a certain illicitness about it, there's a certain challenge about it that grows on you and becomes very, very addictive. And I think a word about addiction may be very helpful. Why are we living in such an addictive generation? Why are maybe better than, I don't know, but maybe 50% of teenage personalities seem to be addictive personalities, and they get hooked on something, whatever it may be, in the world of drugs or in the world of the internet, and it just seems to be incurable. We can't get them off it. And I think it has to do with something we mentioned previously, and that is this emptiness inside, this sense of no purpose in life. In a very crude sense, an addict has a purpose. He feels no purpose in life. He doesn't know what he's living for. And all of a sudden he discovers a purpose. The purpose is the addiction. I have what to get up in the morning for. I have to figure out where I'm going to get my next fix. I have to figure out who I'm going to outsmart to be able to do what I want to do. I have to be able, how I'm going to be able to avoid this consequence and avoid this pressure and get around this obstacle. And it becomes, in a very sick way, but it becomes almost a fulfillment of a purpose. It becomes so much part of the person that they live for that. They can't be away from it. They're constantly drawn to it. Now, we know that addictive behavior is a lifelong tragedy. And the only resolution that we know that it can be dealt with. The philosophy of addiction today is that nobody recovers from a serious addiction. It's only that they live a life in the process of recovery, and that has to start early on. And when it starts very early, or when we sometimes even prevent it from becoming addictive behavior, we can save our children from lifetimes of misery. So I think that this is an aspect of it that also has to be aware of. Drugs are destroying our society in their addictive nature. But the internet is maybe equally as addictive and has the potential to destroy the lives of our children.
Often, our children have nobody to tell. They're afraid that their parents will overreact. They'll throw the computer out the window. The way we deal with 10-year-olds is very different than the way we deal with teenagers who already may be addicted or very into using computers. If we throw the computer out the window with a teenager who's already using the computer hours a day, they will go underground. They will find a way to use the internet access in a way and a place and a time that their parents don't know. It's very important to open the dialogue and communicate with our children.
Now you have to remember, a child who watches pornography, when I say a child, it could be anywhere from 8 to 18, and of course older as well. And it is not a single event. A youngster who gets interested in pornography very often follows it up with repeated viewings, either at his own home or at the library or at a friend's house. And it's time that we get over the denial that this would not happen to our children. It can happen anywhere, and it can happen in the finest families.
You know, you imagine teenage kids right now, they're in their communication, they're doing things, they're watching things, but we look forward to them getting married and having a family and stabilizing their lives. But when you get into these habits, then it becomes part of your marriage. How many marriages were broken up because in the front of the spouse, except with a little click of a mouse when they walk into the room, they've been carrying on all kinds of other things because they've been doing it for so many years that they can't get out of it. You know, marriages, people get older, spouses age. The contacts on the internet always remain the same age. It's just like the girls on the street remain the same age. The dangers are always there, and they're oftentimes more exciting than what we have at home. So if we allow our children to develop this type of addictive behavior, it's just the same as smoking. People start smoking in their teenage years, they're doomed, because to break that nicotine addiction is very, very difficult. Well, to break the internet addiction is also very difficult, and we could not only ruin the teenage years of our children, but doom their lives, their spouses, their families, and their children to a life of misery if we don't do something about these things early on.